Hello everyone and welcome to my GH Twist24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Luna's life had not always been like this. She grew up in a small house on the outskirts of town, where her mother, Sheila, raised her alone. Sheila was a lady of quiet strength, her hands hardened from years of pulling double shifts at the diner, and her smile was a rare gift that Luna treasured. They'd been a team, the two of them versus the world, until Finn entered their life. Finn's easy chuckle and gentle gaze had added a warmth to their home that Luna had not realized she was missing. He wasn't her father. Her biological father had left before she was born, but he'd come close. He married Sheila 2 years ago, and things seemed to be going well for a time. But then ELECTRA arrived. ELECTRA was pandemonium in human form, a tempest that swept into Willow Creek unexpectedly. She was Sheila's estranged sister, a lady whose name Luna had heard whispered in hushed tones as a child, always accompanied by a shake of Sheila's head or a regretful sigh. ELECTRA had left town years ago, chasing unfulfilled aspirations, leaving a path of broken promises and shattered bridges. She returned with a suitcase and a smile that did not reach her eyes. She'd turned up at their door, stating she only wanted a place to stay until she could get back on her feet. Sheila, being the forgiving sister, had allowed her in. Luna had not trusted ELECTRA from the beginning. Something about the way she moved, with sharp edges and measured glances, reminded me of a predator weighing up its prey. She'd smile at Finn, her lips curving little too long, and taunt Luna in ways that felt more like jabs than jokes. "You're so serious, kid," she'd say, ruffling Luna's hair as if she were a child, not 16. "Lighten up or you'll end up like your mom, stuck in this nowhere town forever." Luna would grit her teeth and say nothing, but the words hurt. It wasn't long until ELECTRA's presence disrupted the fragile balance of their home. She'd stay out late, returning with the scent of whiskey on her breath, her laughing too loud and wild. She wouldn't dispute with Sheila about anything. Dirty dishes, borrowed clothes, or how Sheila folded the laundry. Finn attempted to play peacemaker, his voice calm and steady, but Luna could see the strain in his eyes. Sheila too was changing. The woman who had formerly confronted the world with unwavering determination was beginning to fracture. Her smiles became fewer, and her shoulders bowed as if bearing an invisible load. One night the strain burst. It was a Friday evening, and the air was heavy with the promise of something horrible. Luna was in her room, wearing headphones, attempting to block out the sound of ELECTRA's voice downstairs. She was sketching in her notebook, a habit she'd developed to escape the confusion of her mind. Her pencil moved in sharp, violent strokes, leaving the outline of a girl standing alone amid a storm. She didn't hear the dispute begin, but she could feel it, the way the air in the house shifted, like the moment before lightning struck. She removed her headphones and sneaked to the top of the staircase. Sheila and ELECTRA were arguing in the living room below them. Finn stood between them, palms outstretched, attempting to maintain the calm. "You can't just come in here and act like you own the place." Sheila's voice was harsh, shaking with rage Luna had never experienced before. "You are pulling us apart, ELECTRA." "Me?" ELECTRA laughed with a shrill, bitter tone. "You are the one who has allowed this sad little life to suffocate you. Do you think Finn is happy here? You believe Luna is happy? Look at her, she's miserable." Luna's heart lurched. She wanted to shout that it wasn't true, that she had been happy before ELECTRA arrived, but her voice became lodged in her throat. She pressed against the wall, her breath short as Finn talked. "That's enough, ELECTRA," he stated quietly but firmly. "You don't get to talk about Luna like that." "Oh, please," ELECTRA screamed, approaching him. "You are not her father, Finn. Stop pretending to be." The words felt like a slap. Luna watched Sheila quiver and Finn's mouth tighten. ELECTRA lunged, and the moment seemed to last forever. Not at Sheila, but at Luna, who had walked into the doorway without realizing it. ELECTRA's hand rushed out, gripping Luna's wrist with such power that she gasped. Her nails drove into Luna's skin, and her wild, uncontrolled gaze latched on her. Do you think you are so innocent? Electra muttered, her tone low and poisonous. You're exactly like her, clinging to this terrible little life. You'll never be anything else. Luna froze, her heart hammering so fiercely she felt it might burst. She didn't understand why Electra was doing this, or why her words cut like blades. Before she could react, Finn was there, pulling Electra away with a strength Luna had no idea he had. He didn't shout or raise his voice, but the look in his eyes was enough to make Electra let go of her grip. Get out, Finn instructed, his voice firm but chilly. Now! Electra fell back, her chest heaving, her expression a mix of wrath and something else, something broken. Luna considered fighting back for a moment, but then she chuckled, a hollow sound echoing around the still room. She grabbed her coat and went out, slamming the door so forcefully that the walls trembled. Sheila slumped onto the couch, her face buried in her hands and her shoulders heaving with quiet sobbing. Finn knelt beside her, hand on her back, muttering words Luna couldn't understand. Luna stood stuck to the spot, her wrists still throbbing and her mind racing. She wanted to run to her mother and assure her everything was fine, but the words would not come. Instead, she turned and ran back into her room, slamming the door behind her. The days after were a whirl of quiet tension. Electra did not return, yet her absence did not bring comfort. Sheila and Finn attempted to be normal, but Luna could see the fissures in their marriage deepening. They chatted and touched less, and their grins were strained. Luna felt it too, the weight of what had transpired, the anxiety that Electra's words had instilled in her. What if she was correct? What if Luna was doomed to be locked in Willow Creek? Her dreams little more than doodles in a notebook. She came to a stop on her way to the pier. She stopped sketching. She stopped actually talking to anyone. The world felt smaller and colder, and she had no idea how to get back to the girl she had been before. Finn knocked on her door one evening, as the sun began to set. Luna was curled up on her bed, staring at the ceiling, with her notepad left on the floor. He didn't wait for her to invite him in. He simply sat on the side of the bed, hands folded in his lap. I know things have been rough, he added softly. I know you are hurting. But you don't have to go through this alone. Luna didn't react. She did not know how. But Finn did not press. He simply sat there, his presence steady and grounded. After a while, he reached down and took up her notepad, gently flicking through the pages. These are good, he added, lingering over a sketch of the lake. You have something amazing, Luna. Don't let anyone, Electra or anyone else, make you think otherwise. Luna's eyes welled up with tears, and for the first time in days, she felt the weight in her chest ease slightly. She wanted to believe him, that she could be more than the agony and dread that had taken hold of her. But it was quite difficult to see through the storm. Finn stood and placed the journal on her bedside table. Your mom and I are trying to figure things out. It isn't perfect, but we adore you. That is not going to change. He then left her, carefully closing the door behind him. Luna laid there, staring at the notebook with fingers aching to pick it up. She didn't, not that night. But the next morning, as the first rays of dawn filtered through her window, she reached for it. She opened a blank paper and began sketching. Not a storm, not a girl alone, but a house by the lake, its windows gleaming with warmth. It wasn't much, but it was the beginning. Weeks passed, and the parts of their fragmented life began to fit together. Sheila and Finn went to counseling. Their sessions were brief but honest. Luna began talking again, first to Finn and then to her mother. She showed them her designs, and for the first time, she saw pride in Sheila's eyes, free of concern. A month later, Electra wrote a letter with a handwritten apology that felt more like an afterthought than a real request for forgiveness. Sheila read it and laid it away. She's my sister, she said to Luna, her voice firm. But you and Finn are my family. Luna nodded, her throat tightening. She wasn't sure if Electra would ever return, or if she wanted her to. But she knew one thing, she was not alone. Not anymore. The rain stopped falling on Willow Creek, and the lake became calm. Luna arrived to the pier one afternoon, carrying her notebook under her arm. She sat on the edge, her feet dangling over the river, and started drawing. The lines were softer now, and the colors were brighter. She had no idea what the future contained, but for the first time in a long time, she was not terrified to find out. The night began like any other, yet fate occasionally conceals its cruelest twists beneath the most mundane beginnings. The city lights flickered against the fog that crept in from the port, giving the streets a mellow orange glow. Luna had always liked the silence at this hour, when the world appeared to hum rather than shout. She walked home slower than usual, her mind tangled in memories she had wanted to forget. She had recently drifted away from others, her trust weak and brittle, like glass that had been fractured too many times. Her only true comfort came from Finn, a buddy who never let her fall too far. He was the one who called when she became silent and brought her tea when she said she didn't need anyone. Finn carried his own shadows, but never let them fall on her. ELECTRA appeared in this tenuous balance. They were once inseparable, sisters in everything except blood. But something had broken in ELECTRA, which Luna never quite understood. Anger had taken root within her, transforming into jealousy, fear, and anger. She said she was protecting Luna, but her protection was smothering, and her love had transformed into possession. When they met that night, ELECTRA's eyes carried the tempest of someone who had been waiting for an opportunity to burst. Her words became sharper and more feral in the faint light of the roadway. She accused Luna of betrayal, abandonment, and of preferring Finn over her. Luna attempted to explain, her hands quivering as she held them out in peace, but ELECTRA's rage overpowered her words. The initial shove caught Luna off guard. The second one knocked her back against the cold stone wall of the lane. Finn's voice pierced through the tumult as he dashed toward them, but ELECTRA's outburst had already spiraled out of control. She struck out, her fists quivering and her voice breaking into tears that sounded like screams. The violence was unexpected, visceral, and unsettling, not only to the small audience gathering on the fringes, but even to ELECTRA herself. Finn drew Luna aside, protecting her with his body. His arms tightened around her as he stared at ELECTRA, his voice calm but trembling beneath. Enough. This is not love. This is not protection. This is breaking her. For a minute, the quiet seemed oppressive, like if breathing were a sin. ELECTRA's shoulders dropped, as if the wrath had burnt through her, leaving only ash. She stared at Luna, tears streaming down her cheeks, and muttered an apology that seemed insignificant in comparison to the damage already done. Then she vanished into the fog, engulfed by the darkness. Luna clutched to Finn, her body shivering with astonishment. She wanted to scream, collapse, and vanish, but instead she buried her face against his chest and let the tears fall. He didn't say anything, didn't try to fix it with words. He just held her as if his arms were the only safe haven she had left. The days that followed blurred together. Luna found herself recreating the incident over and over, unable to shake the echo of ELECTRA's words or the weight of her hands. She wanted to despise her, but hatred is simple. It was anguish that ripped her apart. She mourned the companionship that had once seemed unshakable, the affection that had devolved into violence, and the bits of herself that felt stolen. Finn remained close. He became her anchor, cooking her meals, which she rarely ate, walking by her in silence, and making her laugh when she felt she had forgotten how. Even as he supported her, his own life was disintegrating. Sheila, his wife, had grown distant long before this night, but Luna's dilemma drove their marriage to the brink. Sheila perceived his time with Luna as a betrayal, failing to recognize that his heart was drawn by compassion rather than desire. Their disputes turned into a barrage of slammed doors and shattered words. Finn tried to explain, to demonstrate that his allegiance was broad enough to include both Luna and Sheila, but Sheila's confidence was already frayed from years of unspoken bitterness. One evening, Luna overheard their argument. Sheila's voice quiver with wrath and despair as she accused Finn of devoting more of himself to Luna than to her. Finn responded quietly, almost desperately, but it didn't matter. The walls had been marked, and Sheila's anguish was too deep to be forgotten. Luna exited the house that night, not wanting to be the catalyst, not wanting to be the reason love fell apart in someone else's home. She walked across the park till daybreak, the air harsh against her skin. She thought about ELECTRA, Finn, Sheila, and the devastation she seemed to leave wherever she stood. The world felt heavy with sorrow, and she wondered if she was doomed to break every link she touched. However, the universe has a terrible way of reminding us that pain does not go away simply because we have already been through too much. Days later, ELECTRA returned. She stood at Luna's door, eyes empty and voice thin. She begged pardon, vowed transformation, and promised that the darkness within her would vanish. Luna listened with her heart ripped in 1,000 directions. Part of her wanted to believe it, to restore what had been lost. Another portion screamed that wounds do not heal while the knife was still in the room. She told ELECTRA that she needed time. The words almost crushed her heart, but she knew they were important. ELECTRA went, her figure disappearing into the night, and Luna leaned against the door, sobbing till her chest hurt. Meanwhile, Finn's marriage had reached a breaking point. Sheila packed her belongings one morning, her eyes puffy after a night of crying. She didn't yell or anger this time. She simply mumbled that she couldn't live in a home where her love was constantly second place. Finn attempted to stop her, his voice harsh, but she left anyhow, the echo of the door closing sounding like the end of an era. Luna felt the guilt sinking into her bones. She told Finn that she, too, would go because she couldn't be the reason his life was ruined. But Finn shook his head, his hands firmly gripping her shoulders. Don't blame yourself. People shatter for reasons greater than themselves. I don't regret being there for you. His voice was firm, but the pain in his eyes was palpable. They journeyed through their anguish together, not as lovers or saviors, but as two wounded souls clinging to the little light they could find. Luna bore the wounds of betrayal, brutality, and sorrow. Finn carried the ashes of a marriage he was unable to preserve. They endured the weight of grief together, finding tiny comfort in their shared quiet. However, the nights remained the most difficult. Luna frequently awoke from dreams about ELECTRA's hands, Sheila's weeping, and Finn's heart breaking in slow motion. She'd sit at the window, watching the city lights flicker, and wonder if healing was genuinely possible. The story does not conclude with a miracle, with wounds magically healed or love neatly restored. Some nights, Luna wept herself to sleep. Finn still reached for a non-existent presence on certain mornings. ELECTRA faded away, her apologies lost in the gap she created. Sheila established a new life abroad, which Finn could only view in parts. But despite the grief, there was one delicate truth. They survived. Luna found power in the cracks and discovered that even broken glass can catch the light. Finn learned that love can take many forms, and that closing one chapter does not diminish the value of the pages that came before it. Though the world had been shaken by outbursts, betrayals, and crises, there remained a quiet hope that the wounds they bore would one day remind them not just of sorrow, but also of perseverance, survival, and the reality that even broken souls can move onward.